In the previous episode, we saw how 2025 promised to be a breakout year for Amtrak, with ridership up service getting more frequent and new trains finally getting tested. This increased demand shows that Americans are turning to rail more than ever, and it raises a bigger question: how will Amtrak continue this momentum? With a long-term goal of 66 million passengers by 2040, Amtrak can't afford to rest on a successful 2025. The company will need a much stronger 2026 with new routes, expanded service, and real progress in addressing its ongoing train shortage, and based on early indications, 2026 could actually be the start of the next big leap. So what could really happen next year? Are these plans bold enough to sustain ridership growth? And could 2026 be the third consecutive year of record ridership? Find out in today's episode of On the Trains. 2026 plan contents. As we move into 2026, Amtrak is preparing some very significant changes to the U.S. passenger rail network. If you're interested in rail travel, here's what you need to know. First, one project that's already confirmed is a new line between Denver and Granby, Colorado. This line is expected to begin running in late 2026 with a round trip every day, opening up convenient travel opportunities for residents and tourists to the Rocky Mountain region. Next, in Ohio, the town of Oxford will get its first Amtrak station when the Chestnut Street multimodal station is built. This project has been funded, and the train platform will begin construction in 2026, allowing trains like the Cardinal to stop there in the future. In addition, other plans such as extending the San Luis Obispo line to Oakland, extending the Borealis line to Big Lake in Minnesota, or upgrading the speed of the Wolverine line in Michigan are still in the proposal stage or have no official information about the implementation time in 2026. Specifically, the Borealis line, currently operating between Chicago and the Twin Cities, is expected to be extended to serve new areas such as Green Bay and Madison, Wisconsin, to better connect the Midwest. The Wolverine line is also being upgraded between Dearborn and Jackson to reach a top speed of 110 miles per hour, which will shorten the travel time between Detroit and Chicago. In addition, Amtrak plans to expand service with additional trains such as a 7th train daily for the Hiawatha line between Chicago and Milwaukee, a 2nd train daily for the Pennsylvania line between New York and Pittsburgh, and a 3rd train daily for the Missouri River Runner between St. Louis and Kansas City. However, these plans have not been officially confirmed for 2026. In addition, other new routes and service expansions under consideration include increased frequency and destinations in areas such as Piedmont service in North Carolina that could be extended to Selma, increasing connectivity to the Carolinian and other destinations. Lincoln service between Chicago and St. Louis will see speed upgrades and schedule adjustments to increase efficiency. New branch routes such as Quad Cities connecting Iowa City with Rockford, Illinois, and 3C in Ohio connecting Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, and possibly Dayton with 3 round trips daily. Marquette service will see increased frequency from Chicago to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Front Range service in Colorado will see new routes between Pueblo, Colorado Springs, Denver, Fort Collins, and an extension to Cheyenne, Wyoming. In the south, the Atlanta-Nashville route is proposed to be re-established, as well as new routes to Montgomery, Alabama, and Savannah, Georgia. In California, there are plans for significant frequency increases on metropolitan corridor routes such as San Jose, Oakland, Sacramento, Oakland. With the project clearly outlined, are there any challenges? Let's continue. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest in modern rail transit. We're updating it daily. Thank you. However, besides the projects with a clear roadmap, Amtrak still faces many challenges. The shortage of trains remains one of the most serious barriers, especially as older fleets continue to age out of service. Many Horizon cars have already been retired, and while they once served as a reliable temporary backbone for several regional routes, there is still no clear replacement plan for them. At the same time, Amtrak's long-distance Superliner fleet is reaching the end of its operational lifespan, yet the next-generation Superliner replacement program has not even finalized a design. Without a confirmed manufacturer production timeline or delivery schedule, there is no immediate solution on the horizon to replenish or expand the fleet. This combination of retiring equipment and uncertain replacement plans means the train shortage will not be resolved quickly. Even with the introduction of aero units in the coming years, Amtrak will still need a significantly larger and more modern fleet to fully support service expansions. As a result, many proposed improvements and route increases, though long discussed, cannot be guaranteed for 2026, and the overall shortage of rolling stock is likely to persist for quite some time. In addition, increasing train speeds on lines such as Wolverine also depends on the progress of infrastructure upgrades and close coordination between relevant agencies. Similarly, increasing the frequency of trains like the Hiawatha Pennsylvanian or Missouri River Runner requires resources in terms of trains and personnel, something Amtrak is working to address in the pre-2023-2025 period. In addition, another bright spot is that in 2025 and continuing into 2026, Amtrak will increase the frequency of the Acela high-speed train line with new trains. At the same time, modern Aero trains will also begin operating, contributing to reducing the shortage of trains, which is one of the biggest challenges today. These advances will significantly improve passenger service capacity and enhance the quality of travel experience on key routes. Overall, 2026 will be a challenging but also promising year for Amtrak. The projects that have been finalized can create a solid foundation for Amtrak to gradually expand the network, improve service quality, and meet the growing travel demand while contributing to promoting green transportation in the U.S. Potential and challenges. Amtrak's 2026 plan offers many positive potentials, but also comes with many challenges that need to be addressed to make the plans a reality. New routes such as San Luis Obispo, Oakland, or the Borealis extension to Big Lake will better connect suburban and rural areas with urban centers, facilitating people's access to employment, education, and health services. Increasing train speeds on the Wolverine line will improve rail's competitiveness compared to personal vehicles and air travel, helping to shorten travel times and improve the passenger experience. However, it is undeniable that Amtrak faces major challenges, beginning with the persistent issue of funding. Despite federal support, Amtrak continues to operate under a significant financial deficit. In the most recent financial reports, Amtrak generated approximately $3.6 billion in revenue, but faced operating and capital costs exceeding $5.4 billion, resulting in an annual loss of roughly $1.8 billion. This structural deficit means the company must rely heavily on federal and state subsidies to maintain even its current level of service. For the FY 2026 budget, Amtrak has requested $2.427 billion in supplemental federal funding, $850 million dedicated to the Northeast Corridor, and $1.577 billion for the national network, reflecting how essential government investment remains for both operations and long-term capital needs. However, securing these funds is never guaranteed. Infrastructure upgrades and network expansions require stable multi-year commitments, and these are frequently vulnerable to shifting political priorities, changes in administration, and disagreements between states and federal agencies. A single delay in budget approval can stall projects for years, leading to escalating costs and missed opportunities to modernize the rail system. This financial instability becomes even more critical when considering Amtrak's ongoing fleet shortage. Combined with Amtrak's current burn rate, often over $700 million per month, when including infrastructure work, the replacement and expansion of rolling stock remains an enormous financial and logistical challenge. In addition, Amtrak must work closely with freight companies, which control much of the existing rail network, to ensure right-of-way and reliable operation for passenger trains. Increasing train speeds also requires improvements to track infrastructure, signaling, and safety, which are sometimes complicated by technical or local factors. Finally, changing travel habits and competition from other modes of transportation are also challenges that Amtrak must consider. Raising public awareness and creating attractive convenience services will play an important role in attracting passengers to use the train. Context. To achieve the ambitious vision in 2026, over the years, Amtrak has had to go through no small difficulties, especially the severe impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has created a large number of mitigation measures, leading to a decline in revenue and directly affecting the ability to maintain and develop services. On the other hand, Amtrak still faces basic but not serious problems such as the shortage of train fuel, making it difficult for the company to meet the increasing transportation demand. Amtrak's rail infrastructure system is also not really synchronous and modern, affecting the speed and stability of trains. In addition, competition from personal vehicles and low-cost airlines has increased pressure on Amtrak in attracting and retaining passengers. In response to these challenges, Amtrak has proactively implemented a number of significant improvements from 2023 to 2025 to improve operational efficiency and customer experience. One of the most notable of these is the acceleration of the Acela Express, a high-speed rail line connecting cities in the Northeast United States. This will not only reduce pressure on other trains, but also better meet the travel needs of passengers in densely populated and economically developed areas. Looking back at Amtrak's expansion and improvement plans in recent years, it is clear that the strategy has evolved and adjusted to be more comprehensive and realistic. Previous plans, such as Vision 2035, announced in 2021, focused on very ambitious goals, including expanding the network nationwide, increasing connections to many major cities, and increasing service frequencies. However, many of these proposals remain strategic in nature, with funding and coordination with states and freight partners uncertain. Compare that to the 2026 plan, which is a bit more concrete and actionable, focusing on realizing the first steps in a broader network. The introduction of new trains like the Aero Speed upgrades on the Wolverine and expansions on routes like San Luis Obispo, Oakland, or Borealis, Big Lake show that Amtrak is prioritizing service quality improvements while expanding service coverage in a controlled and appropriate manner. These steps are important precursors, helping Amtrak build a solid foundation to prepare for larger expansion and upgrade plans scheduled to be implemented by 2026, with the goal of not only expanding the network but also enhancing the customer experience and providing green transportation services. Amtrak is taking steps to build capacity to develop more sustainably and efficiently. That wraps up today's episode. See you next time.